Have you ever looked at the wealthy people around you and thought to yourself, what are they doing that I'm not? In fact, if I had $1 for every time I had this thought, I would be one of those people myself. Fortunately, after observing the actions of the rich, I've come to learn what truly separates them from the average person and the 4 key elements they use to grow their wealth over time, which I'll share with you now. If there were 3 things that I can safely assume every human on earth wants, it would be health, wealth, and happiness. Now, I'm not a doctor, nor am I someone who's mastered the art of being content. However, I'm someone who's been able to make significant strides in my own financial life over the last few years. During this time, I've come to realize what really moves the needle financially, but what started my quest in learning these critical money moves was asking myself why I wanted to become financially successful in the first place. In fact, I'm going to admit something to you right now. I'm a liar, or at least I used to be. When I say this, I mean that for many years I lied to myself and said that I wasn't someone who needed material goods to be happy. However, this was a lie, and my need to indulge in some amount of materialism started to come to light in my late 20s. I've shared this story before, but I'll share it again now. As I progressed through my 20s, every year I started to take dating a little bit more seriously. My desire for one-night relationships developed into a desire for ones with more substance, which meant making more time to meet my potential future partner. However, after going on more and more dates, I continued to run into the same obstacle. After exchanging pleasantries, the girls I would go out with would ask if I had my own place, to which I would answer no. My answer almost always prompted a sigh and look of disappointment, and ultimately led me to going on a ton of first dates, with few progressing to a second. Well, I thought I had a girl issue at the time. What I really had was a money issue, and this is when I realized that I needed to take my finances more seriously. In my eyes, there are really 3 main reasons that anyone would want to make more money outside of meeting their basic day-to-day living expenses. As I just mentioned, having a baseline of material goods like a house is one of them, and there are 2 others that I think are worth mentioning. As you've probably come to realize, having more money generally offers us more freedom. Imagine waking up tomorrow with an ungodly amount of money in your bank account and being able to quit your job or travel anywhere in the world on a whim. This is freedom, and doing what we want when we want is another desire most of us have. I know personally I would be much happier never having to take another order again in my life, and fortunately, when you have large sums of money, this state of being becomes less of a dream and more of a reality. The other benefit you'll receive by having more money is the peace of mind it provides. As someone who's been kept up by their financial struggles many times before, I can tell you that even at my modest level of financial success, it feels good to know that I can handle any unforeseen events that come my way. In fact, this has been my favorite benefit of having more money, which is why I urge everyone to make a concerted effort to get their finances in order. At this point, you may be wondering why the hell I just shared the story with you when all you want to know are the 4 things that you need to be rich. Well, if you don't know why you're doing something, you're not going to do it. That's why. And if you agree, make sure that you hit that like button below. Now that you're well versed in my sad dating history, let's go over the first thing you need to be rich, which is active income. Active income involves trading time for money, and while you've probably heard this isn't the best way of making money, which it isn't, it is required en route to higher levels of financial success. Just to be clear, I am not suggesting that you go take a job flipping burgers at McDonald's in order to start making active income. The active income you want to strive for instead is high paying active income. A basic income concept that still many people overlook is that you get paid based on the value you provide and not based on how long you work. For instance, if a plumber can come over to your house and fix a leak in 1 minute, this doesn't mean that spending 4 hours achieving the same result would be any more valuable to you. To keep this point short, just remember, whenever you want to make more money, simply ask yourself, how can you add more value? In fact, if you really want to turbocharge your income, what I recommend is that beyond earning active income using the skills you presently have, you should also productize your knowledge. Productizing your value probably sounds complicated, but it's really not. All it involves is taking what knowledge or skill you presently have and turning it into something you can sell. For instance, I've cultivated a ton of knowledge about YouTube after having built a 6-figure business on the platform over the last 3 years, and I now have multiple products that I can use to share this expertise with the masses. Now, the obvious benefit of productizing your knowledge is making money, but we can't overlook the other benefit it provides, which is income diversification. If you or anyone you know has lost their job in recent times, then you'll know just how vulnerable of a position it can be to rely on a single source of income. This is why you want to double your return on your human capital by using it to both earn active income and income through the products you sell. Once your income is on point, and assuming you aren't a total delinquent when it comes to saving, you should now have the funds to start capitalizing on your next wealth component, which are stocks. At a high level, making money through stock investing can be seen as a simple process. All you have to do is hit that subscribe button below. Buy stocks, wait for them to increase in value, and then sell them and collect your profits. However, just because something is simple does not make it easy, and unfortunately many investors are making this process even harder than it needs to be. If I had to pinpoint the 3 biggest mistakes I see investors constantly making, it would be spending too much time investing in individual stocks, ignoring investing fees, and trying to time the market. Most people buying individual stocks fail to realize that they simply aren't investing enough money to make their time investment worth their while. For example, spending days researching a stock that will provide a $500 profit if the stock goes up 10% is a terrible use of time. Second, many investors overlook the 1 to 2% in fees that they are handing over to their advisors when they could get the same or sometimes better returns investing on their own instead. Finally, no one can time the market successfully. If you have before, then I think you'll admit that luck had a lot to do with your success and would agree that it's not an approach you can rely upon in perpetuity. This is why the 2 best investors on the planet, me and Warren Buffett, both advocate for long-term passive index fund investing. Doing so saves you time, sidesteps wealth-crippling fees, and the embarrassment of actually thinking you can time the market. The third thing you need to get rich are bonds. Bonds are about as sexy right now as your grandmother in her 90s, but they are critical to a well-balanced portfolio because of the predictable passive income and hedging they provide. Now, if you're unfamiliar, bonds, generally speaking, are an ownership of corporate or governmental debt. When companies or the government need more money, they issue bonds to raise funds and in turn either offer investors interest or maturity value that exceeds the amount they initially invested. So when it comes to passive income, I like bonds not because of how lucrative they are, but because of how hands-off they can be. All you need to do is select the bonds you want to acquire and sit back and collect regular interest payments until maturity. Moreover, one other benefit of bonds that rarely gets talked about is their ability to hedge during stock market downturns. This may be a lost benefit given how strong the markets have been in recent times, but having bonds in your portfolio during ongoing red periods is key. For example, when stocks declined by more than 50% in March of 2009, those who held bonds continued to receive their fixed rate of return and any interest payments they were owed. As such, en route to becoming rich, you're going to want bonds to keep your financial ship afloat when the investing waters are the roughest. Finally, to round out the 4 things you need to be rich, we must talk about real estate. Now, when I say real estate, I don't mean buying a digital house in the metaverse. I mean an investment property that you can touch and feel without the use of VR technology. To be clear, I intentionally left real estate as the last element to discuss because generally speaking, this is the asset that requires the most amount of capital to get started. I know you can invest in REITs and other real estate spin-off assets, but I believe that any good portfolio should have some brick and mortar property within it. The reason I think most people should consider owning at least one physical property is that it offers multiple desirable benefits in one succinct package. First, renting out an investment property provides you with cash flow. This is cash you can use to supplement your active income and reinvest over time. Second, real estate offers you a means of leveraging debt to exponentially increase your wealth over time. Most people still see debt as the devil, but those who understand that money is just a tool soon realize that the right forms of debt can be a powerful aid in achieving all of your wildest financial goals. Finally, unless people take up Elon Musk's offer to move to Mars, then chances are people will continue to need a place to live here on Earth, and as such, the properties you end up acquiring will only rise in value over time. This means that not only are you using your real estate to collect cash every month, but it will also pad your overall net worth at the same time. Now, there's one important point I need to highlight here, and it probably answers a question that's been burning in your mind up until this point. You may be wondering if these are the only 4 resources you can use to become rich, and of course the answer to this question is no. I'm sure over the last couple of years, you've seen people becoming rich through smart crypto investments, by building profitable online businesses, and the like. In fact, I think any asset class can be used as a means of becoming wealthy. The key, however, is that you understand how these assets work through and through, and not simply hope that investing in assets that have made others rich will work out in your favor. As Warren Buffett says, never invest in something you don't understand, and if this advice is good enough for someone with over $80 billion to his name, then it's certainly good enough for you. And if you want to learn more investing secrets Warren Buffett used to get rich, click on this next video and let's get started.